Okay, hello, welcome back. This is episode 29 of the Pregame Network podcast. Dan and Anthony again. Uh, our fucking co-host is just having trouble locking people down.
I spoke to Joe 2 days ago. I have not heard a single thing from him since.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on, but
Yeah,
I mean, whatever. We hold down the fort. It is
yeah,
what it is.
just like the olden days. We did
Only we're
fine
not in
before.
person.
Yeah, it's true.
Anyway, like every other week, I guess we'll just start talking about what we've been playing, and then we'll jump right into the stuff we want to talk about. Um, I have been hardcore grinding, not hardcore. I've been grinding out the zombies camos for whatever reason. This year in particular is I really dig the zombies mode for Black Ops 6, so I've been playing that almost every chance that I get. Um, and I think I had played Darktide like once and I haven't touched Destiny at all. You'd probably be proud of me for that one.
I'm
I
so proud
have,
of you.
however, played a little bit more of Destiny Rising, and
Yes.
I have some more opinions about that, which we'll get into a little bit later. But uh, so those are like the top three things that I've been playing. Let me just double check my Steam library to make sure.
A good
Um,
refresher.
yeah, I think I maybe played like a match of Helldivers 2. Haven't really touched Space Marine. And yeah, that's about it. So Black Ops 6, Dark Tide, and a little bit of Destiny Rising. That's been
Yeah,
my gaming week so far.
yeah. Nothing wrong with that. A little
Yeah.
simpler than usual.
Yeah, nothing too complicated. I don't really have a whole lot of time, so it's gotta pick and choose. So it's like
That's
when
fair.
we when we meet up at night, we're usually playing zombies. It's kind of like my game time. So,
Yeah,
it's whatever.
yeah. Zombies is a safe option. Shut your brain
Yeah.
off. Have a lot of fun. Get some progression in the camos. Doesn't hurt.
Uh-huh. And I mean, the Black Ops 6 overall has just been a really good COD offering this
Mm.
year, so that's a net positive.
Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah, that was only what 2 minutes of me describing what I've been playing. So usually it's like at least five. But
Yeah.
what have you been playing this week?
I mean, I've been playing Black Ops 6 with you during those zombie sessions at night. I've got my
Mm.
fighting games with Harrison. I'm still playing Dragon Age Origins, slowly but surely.
Are
Still
you
no
really?
major hook. Yeah, still no major hook, but I'm not giving up, and it's not like, oh, this is awful. Oh, this is a slog. It's just, I'm going through it, and nothing's really got me going like I got to see this through the end yet. But I'm still going through it.
You're just trudging your way through the Dragon Age trilogy. Good on you. I
No,
wouldn't be
no,
able to do
not, not
that.
not the trilogy. Like I said last week, I'm gonna give Origins a full shot, and then if it has like some kind of hook, I'll try to. But like, it's not like the Mass Effect trilogy where like it's just one complete story where like you
Yeah.
absolutely need to. It's different playable characters. There's some you know parts of the series to my knowledge where it's like certain characters show back up, but you're not playing as the same guy. It's different, like majorly different tales as far as I'm aware, just with
Mm.
some familiar characters and within the same kind of time frame.
I would have
So
liked Dragon Age more if it wasn't turn-based. That was my big takeaway way back when.
see, I can see that. Like, I know you're not a big turn-based guy. What I would say about it is the first game really isn't turn-based. It's like tab combat where it's just like you set up certain moves and then you gotta wait. You're not waiting turns. You're waiting for
Right.
cooldowns on your
Okay,
moves.
that's fair. Yeah, it is not
And then
turn-based, but
and
like
then
it kind of
and then
forces you to pause the combat or the action
eh,
every time you want to do
only
something. I just don't like it.
see, I get that, but at the same time, it's only slightly more so than Mass Effect 1 did.
Okay.
Only because like Mass Effect 1, it's like obviously there's gunplay, and then you could pause to go through all your different abilities because you have a shit ton of abilities. It wasn't until
Yeah.
much later in the Mass Effect games where they streamlined it where you didn't need to do that as much. But anyway, and then the last thing on Dragon Age I'll say is like that kind of aspect where you're just like, yeah, it was turn based or however you want to put it. Dragon Age 2 added action elements to it. Dragon Age Inquisition tried its best to be The Witcher, and Dragon Age Veilguard is like, all those mobile games that have like gotcha games, like you have
Yeah.
Genshin Impact and Zenless Zone Zero. The combat in Veilguard, just from me looking in without touching it yet, reminds me of those games where it's like a very baseline action that's flashy to keep you entertained and a handful of skills, but it's really there's like no substance there. I don't want to
Yeah.
rag on it too much. That time's kind of come and gone. Maybe there will be a time where I play it for free, obviously, but that's Dragon Age, right? I also tried Immortals Phoenix Rising. You know about that game? You played it?
Yeah, it's like a weird Zelda knockoff, right?
Yeah, Zelda is a good way to put it. It's like if you took a Zelda game, both elements of the older style and Breath of the Wild, more so Breath of the Wild, and then if you took elements from the RPG Assassin's Creed games, like light stealth elements, collecting stuff in an open world and shit like that, and you just jammed them together, you would get this. And
Yeah.
I don't hate it. Like, I've played a lot of Ubisoft games where I'm just like, wow.
Oh yeah, it's Ubisoft.
Yeah, where I'm just like, wow, I don't enjoy this, or wow, I just like, there's like a certain aura about these games where it's just like the most cookie cutter and corporate thing that you could put in front of me. And I kind of feel that with Immortals, but it's like, it's got this, I don't know what word I'd
Like
use for
charm?
it. It's like I wouldn't say, see, my mind went to charm, but I wouldn't go that far. It's got spunk. It reminds me of like an E10 and up, like an E for Everyone 10 and up game that you would find like 2 generations ago, if that makes sense. It's so weird.
A little bit.
Yeah, like it's not bad, and it's not as dreadful as some of the games that they've put out since, but it's like, it's almost like just if everybody was trying in their earnest and they just made an okay game, this is what you would get. I don't know. It's weird. I don't hate it. It's got more going on than I thought it did at first, but it's, I don't know if I'm gonna play it fully just because it's not that enthralling. But it's like it's not awful. Like, you ever get a feeling like the people behind a game or like the game itself just doesn't like you? Like Immortals
Most
doesn't.
modern games.
Yeah, exactly. Immortals doesn't have that.
That's
It
good,
doesn't
I guess.
immediately hit me with like "fuck you," so I'm just like, it's okay, it's whatever. So, yeah. Other than that,
I've watched a bunch of gameplay because my friend Dan played it. He likes those types of games. So like I watched a bunch when it came out a couple of years ago, and it just like it was fine. Nothing about it really catches me. So it's I was never gonna play it, but it was if you like those type of Zelda open world games, then it's fine, I guess.
yeah. I feel like I played something else, but I can't put my finger on it. Maybe that was it. I played some Sonic games at a certain point, but it was kind of a blur, so I don't. I guess that was everything. Yeah.
Oh, all right, cool.
Yeah. We'll just call it. We'll just call it there.
Well, all right. Well, I guess I have my thoughts on Destiny Rising, and that'll also kind of bleed into the whole NetEase embezzlement thing that I saw earlier today.
Yeah.
So I did play a little bit more. Remember how last week I was talking about how I didn't like it's a third person game that you like when you actually shoot, it zips you into first person, and that's how you aim, and that's how you like engage. I hate that when it comes to third person games. Like, either stick with one or the other. Well, you can completely change your perspective. You can do completely first person. So I discovered that setting, and I enabled it, and it has made my experience notably better. That being said, it's still like a mobile game. It's still like a touch screen based controls, like primarily. I did play it a little bit more with my Xbox controller, and it's definitely better, but it still has that input lag that it's just like, ugh, like
That's no good.
to me, like Destiny is, it has really good controls and has very snappy controls, a lot like COD. It's kind of why these games stick around for so long, because they're a lot of fun to play to a lot of people. But even linking my controller to my phone, and I was able to play a little bit on BlueStacks on my PC. The performance was definitely better, so it was a better overall experience on PC. But it's still like a little clunky, and I'm gonna chalk that up to it being an alpha, because it is just still very, very early. That's like the number one thing I think that they need to work on. I played a couple of activities. Apparently, there are like end game raids in Destiny Rising. I have not like that's such an endeavor to or such an undertaking to go through to get 6 people together to solve the type of puzzles that Destiny asks you to solve.
Yeah.
That like there's no way I'm gonna be able to tackle that. I just don't know. One, I don't know anybody that plays games on their phone, and two, I don't know anybody who plays games on their phone that's serious enough about a game to do like an end game activity such as a Destiny
Yeah.
raid. Like I just don't
I,
think that's gonna happen for me.
yeah, I kind of last time you talked about it when we were talking about it, I said something like along the lines of I don't know who would really be interested in this rather niche experience on mobile, whether it was, toned down for mobile or not. And now that you're describing it in full, now that you know a bit more about it, it sounds miserable. Like, part of me is wowed that they tried to fit a lot of that into a mobile game, but the other part of me is like you just laid out all the logistics. Like, where are you going to find 5 other people to do this, to
Yeah.
coordinate for this mobile game that is real? Like, at that point, it's just, why would
Well,
you
those
do that?
communities do exist. Like I think
No,
that's
like,
important to note.
I agree, but even ignoring the logistics of it, imagine all of the things you've ever done to plan for a raid night, right?
Hmm.
Now do that, but mobile phone, which either means you're like fitting it in while you're on the go, or you are purposely sitting at home fucking around on your phone, and
Yeah.
that does not no,
Yeah,
that's
it
not
doesn't sound fun. I mean, like,
yeah,
granted, you can play it on like an iPad or an Android tablet or something on a
that's
much
true.
bigger display, or go out of your way to put BlueStacks on your computer. I actually had to, so when I installed BlueStacks, I had to go into my BIOS and enable virtualization in my BIOS so that it could run just so it could just run. And then I had to change the video encoder so to something that the game supported on my PC in virtualization. So it's like
Yeah.
there were so many hoops that I have to jump through that the average person is one is gonna have no interest in it, and two is gonna have no fucking idea how to do that. So
Yeah. I mean,
that's another
even
barrier to
if
entry.
yeah, like even if that's the case, obviously I don't think there's no game out there, and obviously we shouldn't judge experiences based on like BlueStacks experience, you know?
Hmm. Yeah.
It's just
So
it's designed to be on the phone. Like, you shouldn't be thinking to yourself like, "Hey, it's like, well, if I jump through every hurdle possible and essentially turn it into a PC game, it's kind of like more optimal." It's like then they fucked something up because it's not a PC game, you know?
yeah, because it's really just the community modding around a phone to like a phone application in order to get it onto a PC so that you can play it as if it was Destiny 2. And that's just not what I think a lot of people, there are going to be some people that do that, sure, because they're just so hopelessly addicted to Destiny and they want to chase every piece of loot that there is
Yeah.
that, yeah, they'll jump through those hoops. That's fine. I think I would have been that person at one point. I'm just not anymore. Um, but what I will say about the game, like from a Destiny fan's perspective, also from like just a gamer, uh, there's a lot of things that they do in Destiny Rising that I wish they would have done or will do in Destiny 2. Like,
Yeah.
for example, I'm pretty sure you're going to be able to get, no, you do. You get like clan houses, with like Final Fantasy does in their MMO, or a
Oh,
lot of
yeah.
different MMOs do. Like I think
Yeah.
Monster Hunter does it also.
It's
Um,
surprisingly not as common as it should be, but it's always a
yeah,
pleasant surprise when it happens.
right. So like that's one thing, like clan hubs or a clan house or something. It sounds dumb, but like at the end of the day, for any game, you're not like the people that play their respective game enough. You're really going to be chasing like the drip and the swag for whatever that you like to do in that game. Yeah, you can get the weapon or the item or whatever, but it's a lot of other people can get it too. I just feel like the cosmetic portion of it will always transcend like somebody else can play on your account, I guess. Like do you know what I'm trying to say here? It's you can only take the gameplay like the item in the game so far. I feel like the
Yeah.
cosmetic is really what you're able to show off. Um,
Yeah, a lot of MMOs, especially nowadays, people joke that like it in to go back to Final Fantasy for a second, people joke that the real end game is the glamour, like, the different shit that you're collecting. It's almost like having a place to either show off your accomplishments via unlocked rewards, be it on your person or in an in-game house or something like that, is a huge plus, for especially when you consider how long these games go on for.
yeah.
So it's like you could boot up the game, and the unfortunate thing is a lot of the time these franchises take forever to implement these things. But like theoretically, you jump in an MMO, you start playing it from launch, and then like 2, 5, 10 years down the line, when you're still playing through the different contents, you stop into like a player house or a clan house or whatever, and you have things that resemble your accomplishments throughout the years. That is a really cool thing.
Yeah. Yeah, so like that's one example of the things that I wish that Destiny 2 would do in its game proper. There's a bunch of
Yeah.
different game modes that they offer in Destiny Rising that are just not a thing in Destiny 2. And yeah, Destiny 2 has a bunch of its own offerings that are, I guess, unique enough from one another that it's still like a good offering as far as what you would want to do as a player.
Hmm.
But it's I think that this game just proves that the Destiny community wants like they're hungry for more stuff, you know? And I think the way that they lay out all of their systems and um their UI is really good as well. They could that Bungie could take a huge page out of NetEase's playbook and implement what they're doing on the mobile front,
Yeah.
in console. And I think at the end of the day, like it's not a bad game as far as mobile games go. I think it's actually a pretty good take on what a Destiny mobile game could be, but it's still a mobile game. That's the biggest thing that's
Yeah.
going to hold it back. That and monetization. There is almost no monetization right now in this closed alpha, and like it's first of all it's NetEase. Second of all, it's a mobile game. So you remove those, like you open up those floodgates. God only knows what it's going to be like once the game fully
Yeah.
launches. Because Destiny 2 right now, they do nickel and dime players for a lot of bullshit in the Eververse store.
Yeah.
And now you're gonna have like playable characters. You're not just customizing your one Guardian that you started from 10 years ago or whatever, or 6 years ago for Destiny 2. Um, it's I think that's really gonna hurt the game from a critical standpoint. But it's a mobile game, so no one's gonna care.
Yeah, that's it. The way you laid everything out, it's like they're already doing these things with monetization. They're not gonna slow down on the mobile front. If anything, it's
No,
gonna get
not
more
even. Yeah, it's
aggressive.
gonna get way worse. And
Yeah.
you're gonna have the whales that we're gonna pay obscene amounts of money for, the most ridiculous item in the shop, and then, that's gonna be that. And
Yeah.
once they see the money coming in, they're not gonna stop. They're just gonna amp it up. So like I think
Yeah.
once the game launches, sometime next year, it's that's gonna be the number one thing that is going to take away from that whole experience. But that's
Yeah.
roughly my not so elevator pitch or explanation for Destiny Rising. I would really need to put in way more time to get a much more complete picture, but I think I kind of understand what I need to from from a gamer perspective and two from a Destiny fan's perspective. I don't think it's
Yeah.
bad. I just think that it's going to suffer from being a mobile game. I think that's really what's going to
Yeah.
happen at the end of the day.
Yeah, it makes sense. There's only so
Um,
much you can do on those mobile platforms. It's not even an issue of quality necessarily, because they are like, regardless of the end result, they are trying and doing amazing things on the mobile phone, even though even though it's not the optimal way to play video games, to the point where
yeah,
they're overshooting their capabilities. Like a massive multiplayer online shooter that's about grinding and doing raids, it just does not compute to a mobile only experience. It would be
yeah.
one thing if it was almost like a side port, or just a pared down version of the existing Destiny experience, so that like on the go you'd be able to like do a few things that so you're like shaving like 10 to 20 minutes off of your playtime when you get home and sit down. But
Mhm.
I think that, I mean, the unfortunate thing is that kind of experience would be way too player focused
Uh,
for Bungie. Like, I just don't think that's just not in the cards for them. So going with an entirely new experience that they could get as a potential new revenue stream is really what they're focused on, as far as I can
yep,
tell. Yeah.
yep. So we'll see how it shakes out once it actually launches. But I think the game itself is good enough for a mobile game. As a Destiny fan, it has a lot of good things going for it. But I think the monetization is just going to destroy. It's just going to be like a festering rot from the inside out.
Yeah.
Um, but I don't know. Like we'll see. It's I do kind of know it's NetEase. Um, Speaking of NetEase, uh,
Yes.
there was a bunch of senior management just arrested for fucking uh, embezzlement. What are they? They approximately. I have so it's an article by Vice I have up in front of me. Approximately 2 billion yuan. Yuan. Do you know how to
Juan,
pronounce
I
that?
think. I think it's
Yuan,
pronounced
sure.
Juan.
It equates to roughly $280 million. Um, that's like that's a lot. That's
That is a lot of
excessive.
money.
Um, all right, so let's see here. The actual amount involved is estimated to be between 800 million and 1 billion won, and 28 suppliers have been affected. Li Feng reports. Uh, it was Destiny NetEase employees were arrested for alleged money laundering. That's so crazy. It's so crazy. Oh man, like talk about a blow to like a game that's not even out yet.
Yeah,
Rough.
it's something else. Yeah, I mean, there's always like there's always a lot of crazy stuff going on behind the scenes with like every now and again if you pay attention to the news you'll find out that the different leads and different employees of these different companies are like they get themselves into shit just like anybody else in those
Yeah.
corporate positions.
And
Uh,
this article was published yesterday at 8:30 p.m. So I think the only thing that we really know is that there was a massive amount of funds embezzled. I don't think they have motive or anything, any other details beyond that.
yeah,
But just the fact that that happened is pretty wild.
yeah, it's pretty crazy. It reminds me of the the creator or one of the creators of Sonic the Hedgehog. He got arrested last year for
Yeah,
insider trading.
yeah.
It's just
So that
yeah,
guy is also mentioned here. Naka, right?
yeah, Yuji Naka.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That so Yuji Naka was mentioned in the second half of this article, and he's arrested for insider trading after he puts out Wonder World, which was like fucking awful, right? Like it was,
Oh, it was such a strange and dreadful game.
yeah.
It's just like it's not only is it like bad overall and it doesn't look all that great, but my understanding is it's like one of those games where there's not a whole lot of player agency. Like a lot of the times you're just walking from point A to point B and pressing singular buttons.
Oof.
It was something strange up with that one,
That's
but
crazy for like a guy who created Sonic the Hedgehog. You'd think that you wouldn't need to insider trade, like you'd have enough money. Um,
you never know because like some of these guys either I end up like dirt poor or screwed over at a certain point. I don't think he was hurting for money though. I don't
right.
think he was in particular. I think, but you know, the allure of just more cash, I guess, is just too much for some people. You know,
It's
it's like,
oh man,
I
it's
could use a couple more
wild.
million.
I want to know why. Um, oh, okay, no, never mind. I was gonna say like I want to know why the estimated it was estimated between 800 million and 1 billion, but that's won, not US dollars. The conversion is 280 million dollars.
Yeah.
So
So now you got me second. Is it yuan or is it yuan? I'm not even sure.
I have
I'm gonna
no
keep saying
idea.
yuan. I'm gonna
When I
see.
first read the article
Yuan
quickly,
sounds
I thought it
right.
was yen.
No, no, no. Yen's a very different currency.
Yeah, 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 I know. I'm aware. I'm aware. Um, Additionally, it's currently speculated that the detained employees were laundering money. The contract value involved. Yeah, oh
Money
man.
laundering too. Eh.
Yeah. So embezzlement and money laundering. Good combo. All right.
Yeah, crazy
Cool.
stuff.
I mean, that was just an easy transition between what I thought of the Destiny
Yeah,
Rising
no,
open
it's a
alpha and the
yeah, it's
fucking
an interesting
people
thing.
creating the game. Oh my
Yeah,
God.
but
Uh,
actually, now that you mention because because of this whole story, Yuji Naka came to mind. You know, he's not with Sega anymore, but it reminds me there was some stuff going
Naturally.
on with Sega. So Sega about a year ago started this initiative where they what the fuck was it called, like Power Up Jumpstart, something new, where they basically said that they want to bring back a lot of old IPs that they've been sitting on, right?
Mhm.
And I think it's been about a year since then, or maybe just under a year. I think it was actually at the Game Awards last year that they had like this trailer, and they basically said they were leading off of certain things. But so they want to do like Crazy Taxi, Jet Set Radio, Shinobi, a lot of their older IPs, right?
I miss Crazy
And
Taxi. I love that game.
yeah, I've heard things about this reboot, and I'm not particularly thrilled. Just over time, it's apparently going to be like some open world, heavily monetized thing. I think like
Yeah, you
we
mentioned this
haven't,
before.
yeah, we haven't seen anything yet, but we've only heard rumors and leaks, and none of them look promising, right?
Huh.
But anyway, why I bring this up is I think they're gearing up to start making moves on that. I think things have been in development for a while because they are in the process of delisting just about every single re-release and old collection across every platform. On the PlayStation side, they're only losing like 3 games because they never really partnered up with them. But Steam and Xbox, like 2 decades worth of games and content and ports are going to be delisted, I think in December. It's crazy. It's just like a whole massive list, like just because on Steam they had something called the Genesis collection, which was basically like you would download the client for the Genesis and then you would buy each individual game, whatever you wanted. On Xbox, because when Sega left the console market, they partnered very heavily with Xbox for a couple years. So there's a bunch of stuff on the original Xbox and the Xbox Live Arcade that is basically all of their shit from the Genesis and Dreamcast, like all of the classics. All of that is going to be delisted during December, and that's it's ridiculous because it's just like these are the kind of games that like I bought like when I first got an Xbox, right? So I have them, but it's like they're backwards compatible, and that does not bode well when you basically eradicate your catalog for like a new like collection, because they've done collections before in the past and they've just kind of layered over each other, and you can have whichever one you want, you could go in and you could play it or whatever. But now it's just like, I guess they want a clean slate for whatever's coming up.
Yeah, that's something that we have yet to really dive deep into, is game preservation, which that would make for a really cool conversation, but there is like almost no such thing anymore.
Yeah, it's pretty brutal, and it's there's multiple layers, and once again we'll do a whole conversation on it one day, but like it's something that is not only like an issue from just, you have game developers and publishers re-releasing games and they want the incentive, to keep you going, but it's also like they fight this actively in the courts. Like there's always a court battle going on about preservation and emulation and shit like that, which actually brings me neatly along to the next thing I wanted to talk about. So Nintendo, there was recently an update again with their thing with Pal World, right? That suit's going forward. But at the same time, it was revealed that they are claiming something absolutely ludicrous in the courts. They are claiming...
Wasn't it over a patent, or is this something different?
That's the ridiculous thing with the patent, because we talked about the Pal World thing a while ago, where they basically made a patent to claim that they infringed it. But now, about some point this year, they went after the two Switch emulators that were out there, and I think we might have talked about this very briefly. But the bottom line is, like, they basically gave them an offer they can't refuse and got them shut down. But in all of these proceedings, they are now claiming they can just sue individual people for using emulators.
Okay, that's a bit much.
The whole thing's a bit much. Emulation is legal, but now they're basically in these other suits, and I think they might have actually not attempted to, but they've basically alluded that they can sue this. But they're claiming that if you either emulate games on your private machine or if you send other people emulation files, you are trafficking these files, and both are liable.
Scary language.
Yeah, dude, they're insane when it comes to this, and they need to be humbled in court, like at some point in the near future. Otherwise, they're just going to start terrorizing people. They are not above suing individual people. They will absolutely do that if they think they can get away with that. But I think they're doing all of this aside from the fact that they're just really nasty individuals. It's kind of like a Disney situation where it's like they have the cutesy, we own all these games and we have all this stuff, but when it comes to protecting their property, even though this isn't really an IP protection kind of thing, they are absolutely bloodthirsty. Like they will crush you. Like they will get to that point where, remember there was that story about somebody at Disney died, and because they had a Disney Plus subscription, Disney was arguing that they weren't liable to whatever damages because they died in the park or whatever. Like Nintendo is at that level.
No, I don't remember. You don't remember that at all? No.
What was it? Like some guy died of an allergy at eating at a restaurant at a Disney a Disney park, and like because that person had a Disney Plus subscription, Disney was arguing that in the terms of service, they basically voided their right to hold Disney liable for accidentally killing this person.
What? Because he had a Disney Plus subscription?
Exactly. But I'm just saying, that is the kind of crazy shit that Nintendo likes to argue.
wouldn't you think that every paying customer that walks through that admission desk has a Disney Plus
Yeah,
subscription?
listen, the
Just
whole thing is
just
batshit, but
by the numbers, one of them is just bound to drop
the
dead in the park.
the whole thing I'm talking, the only thing I'm getting at is Nintendo is batshit when it comes
Yeah,
to
yeah,
legal
yeah.
stuff as much of a, as a Disney is. So, but I think they're doing this because the Switch 2 is like right around the corner or whatever. So I guess they're just trying to clean
Oh yeah,
house.
wasn't there a new thing about that? Like
Um,
a news about
so
the Switch 2?
nothing really new about it. They just the one of the guys at the top basically said like, "Oh yeah, last year we said we're going to announce it before March 25th, 2025 and we are still going to do that," or something like that.
Okay.
And I think they also reconfirmed that it will be backwards compatible with Switch titles. I think
When
that's what
did the
they
Switch first come out? It's been a fucking long time.
I was still at
Like,
Best Buy.
yeah,
That was a
like,
while ago.
multiple years,
20
obviously multiple years.
2016? I want to say
Wow.
2016, maybe
So
2015.
almost 10 years.
Yeah, just about.
Nuts. I
Yeah.
mean, the average console life cycle is what, 5?
7, I think. I think
Okay.
I think I think it used to be closer to 5. I think this is actually it's something's going on in my memory because I remember us on a pregame lobby episode talking about how the average console lifespan was expected to increase and how that was a good thing. That was like
Oh,
one of the
that's
first things we talked
hilarious.
about.
Now we
Yeah,
get
so
mid-generation upgrade.
yeah, yeah, but that was definitely something we talked about on the old podcast. I
Fucking
looked it
got
up.
that one wrong.
Yeah, March 3rd, 2017 was when the Switch came out, and it was
March 3rd,
5 years after the Wii U.
Wow. So
Yeah.
more than double that life cycle.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be honest. I don't have a. My opinion is still the same. Longer console cycles are better because,
Yeah.
especially now more than ever, because, and I've talked about this before, we're just pumping up the hardware to cover for the fact that nobody's optimizing their games anymore.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. It's
if
pretty
we
bad.
if we got an industry that could just make games again, with optimization and compression, we could probably coast on the current generation until like 2030.
Yeah.
I'm not even joking. Like
Yeah,
if we
no,
actually got
I
our
know
shit
you're not.
together, like
Also,
we could,
fuck
we could
Sony
coast.
for coming out with the PS5 Pro. That's just ridiculous. Nobody needs that.
That is ridiculous. I've been seeing people getting that, and it's just like, it's actually funny. This is all just leading one thing to another. I saw, so all the people that were talking about how amazing the hardware is and how revolutionary it is, we're starting to see some shit. Like I think I saw somebody either running, I think it was Dragon Age Veilguard, right? And they were running it on performance mode for the PlayStation 5, and then they ran it performance mode on the PlayStation 5 Pro, right?
Was there no difference?
Got like an 11% performance increase. It was
Like,
pitiful. And
For
the
how much
crazy
money?
thing, Dan,
Like, was it
Dan,
$600 or $700?
like $700. Dan, it wasn't even. It still wasn't at 60 frames per second,
Oh God.
bro. Like, listen, we've said this plenty of times. People are just not getting this. We have a software problem, not
Yeah.
a hardware problem. The PlayStation 5 and the Xbox Series X were all that was necessary for us to coast for like potentially a decade.
Like
but
15 years, yeah.
yeah, even longer. Yeah, like 15 years would be reasonable to assume. It's just we don't have like it's a couple of good developers surrounded by a bunch of shitty developers bolstered by outsourced labor.
It's
For
the
a lot of these
primary
AAA
reason.
games.
That's probably, I would say 50% of the reason that I have almost made the complete switch to PC. Like there's really, these companies don't give you a reason to buy their consoles anymore, except for maybe Nintendo, because Sony, I just have to wait for their games to hit Steam.
And the thing is, like, my whole stance, and I still kind of hold by this, where it's just like the same reason, in the same way these companies don't necessarily have like the star of approval when it comes to PC ports. Like as things get worse with like the compression and the actual optimization of these games, you get more finicky and faulty PC ports. But the flip side of the PC ports is that you can just go in and play with the settings, and people will make mods to kind of pick up the slack, which is sad that you would even need to like think about that when buying a AAA release. So it's like, it's almost like I would say PC is the way to go with some of these games, just for the fact that you can fuck around under the hood where like with your own hardware. It's just
There was one game that came out recently that like was held up by mods. I'm blanking on this. It might have been Dragon Age. But I
Mm.
another one was Space Marine. That has
Mm.
a lot of mods on PC that
That doesn't
make
surprise me.
it a lot better.
Yeah.
And Darktide also has a bunch of mods, but they don't like improve the performance of the game. They augment the way that you interact with the systems, and uh, like for me, it's like I have a lot of different setting mods on my
Mm.
version of the game. Like I
Yeah.
can toggle things instead of holding them down, whereas like there's no option in that for the settings, which is crazy to me, but whatever. Um, but yeah, I think it was Space Marine 2. I could be remembering that incorrectly, but there was a game that came out recently that was like it was fine, but it was just made way better by mods.
Yeah.
And this is escaping me right now. I'll let you know if I think of it, but
Yeah, that's fine.
uh,
I mean,
yeah.
my take on it is always this. It's like my take on console gaming is the whole point of console gaming is at the top level you have companies competing to better the industry because they're directly competing with each other, and on a consumer level you have something that works out of the box flawlessly as much as
Mm,
possible for like a 7-year time span where you don't have
yeah.
to worry about it. You pop it in and you're good to go, and we've just kind of lost that plot. Like it's one thing, like we talk about things like, oh, you got to install the games and that's a pain in the ass, but it's another thing entirely when you consider the fact that like performance modes and graphics modes used to be a premium feature when we started doing mid-generation hardware, right? That was a
Yeah.
premium feature. It is now a mandatory fallback for these games. Like all of these AAA titles, or most of the AAA titles, launch with performance or graphics modes as like a crutch. It's
Yeah.
just, I mean, I could rant ad nauseum about it. I've ranted about it before. It's just, we have a software problem. That's all.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't really know what else to say about it because that's kind of sums it up perfectly. Um, it's not the hardware at all. It's
Yeah.
just the people making these games now, they just don't know how to, well, one, optimize, and two, be creative. Like
Yeah.
creative in the sense of like, how do I make this work with the resources that I have?
Yeah.
Because all the games that we grew up with that we love were a product of the uh, creativity and like it wasn't crunch, it was just like performance under pressure, I
Performance
guess.
under pressure, passion. I mean, I talk about those periods of times when 3D in games was new and when the sixth generation of consoles was new. Like that area, that era between those two generations was just people going, we have new tools, how can we push them?
Mhm.
And like I remember, like I saw recently there was a video talking about the Dead Rising Deluxe remaster. It was kind of ragging on it, rightfully so. And one of the things, they're talking about all the things that the deluxe remaster doesn't do compared to the original. Like the zombie herds are like thinner. Like there's less zombies on screen. There's no
Mhm.
reflective surfaces, so there's no mirrors. The game stutters and things clip, and then it cuts to the past and shows the original Dead Rising. All the zombies are on the screen. They all show up in the reflections. The game holds at a steady 30 frames per second, right? Because that was the
Mhm.
standard then. And then it shows like one of the guys talking about the 360 when it was new. Is like, oh, we really want developers to be able to take advantage of this new hardware, so that's why we're launching with 512 megabytes of memory. And I'm just like, motherfucker, like, where did we go wrong? Like, seriously.
Yeah,
Like,
no one's using that.
yeah, it's ridiculous. How, like I've said this before, and I just said it, and I'll keep on fucking saying it because it's driving me nuts. Xbox Series X, PlayStation 5. There is a power gap there, but it's so negligible.
Yeah.
So negligible. Even
Yeah.
those two versus the PlayStation 5 Pro. Like everybody's been, you have all these, frothing at the mouth fanboys talking, like arguing with nobody, just going, ha, those X Bros, man, they don't know good. They were sitting pretty on top of the Series X, but now we're getting another 11% performance boost. I'm like, you dense motherfucker, we're all getting screwed. All of the all three of these things and the Series S should all be able to run things phenomenally. We just don't know how to do it, and it's actually interesting because that's making me think. The president of Take-Two said that he's not concerned with how Grand Theft Auto 6 will run on the Series S, so they know it. They know they can make it work. Why is everybody else not realizing this? So, I don't know. I don't know. I'm gonna go off the rails if I keep talking about this because we need
For
better
real.
people. Like the hardware is sound. It's been sound for a while.
Indeed. All right. Well, moving on from that, my weekly Dark Tide update. I'm getting a new update. Uh,
Yeah.
well, no, I explained the whole Havoc game mode, right? Or was that
You explained it to me at some point.
okay? Oh yeah, there's a new event going on this week.
Ah.
That was it. I don't know. I love that game. It's so much fun. It's so much fun, and the fact that it takes place in the Warhammer universe makes it that much better. Um, so I'm getting a new event this week, and I am excited.
That's good.
That was it.
No, that's good. That's good.
Yeah.
What is it? There was something that was going on with Warner Brothers. I think
Selling off like their whole games division.
they were trimming that down. That was the initial report a couple months ago, right? And then
No, didn't someone like completely gut? Oh, that was Amazon. They completely got rid of their entire gaming division.
Oh my god. Let's just talk about the industry for a second, all right? Let's just talk about the industry because I think it was Amazon and Netflix announced like over the span of time that they were just completely gutting their gaming department. Amazon, good riddance because they didn't really do anything outside of butcher some Japanese games. And Netflix, one of the first news holes I did back in 2022 was about Netflix gearing up to do something. Like they doubled down. They said we're gonna increase our output. And I think they ended up not making a single fucking game over 2 years. Like they went and they headhunted. They found some really impressive talent. I think one of the Halo guys was at Netflix, and they just made fucking nothing for 2 years.
Yeah, I don't get that.
Down.
I don't get that.
Because these guys don't know what the fuck they're doing with anything. Like
a Halo developer? I mean, that's one guy, but still.
But it doesn't matter if you have all the talent. If you don't know how to fucking manage anything, nothing gets done.
Yeah.
And then
like Star Citizen.
Yeah, like Star Citizen. What else was it? It was there's something else. But yeah, Warner Brothers, right? They announced a while ago they were going to cut down things. I think they said going forward they're only going to focus on 4 franchises: Batman, Game of Thrones, Harry Potter, and Mortal Kombat. Like that's all they're going to focus on from now on. Those four IPs.
Batman, Game of Thrones, Harry Potter. And what was the other one?
Mortal Kombat.
Mortal Kombat. Okay.
And
I mean, it's okay.
That's not bad, but like the whole thing, like Batman's a powerhouse, but you don't have Rocksteady making those games anymore, so you're kind of like in the wind as far as that goes. Harry Potter, you could potentially do something with a sequel to Hogwarts Legacy, maybe. Game of Thrones, I don't think they've done anything with Game of Thrones. Like there was a Telltale game a while ago.
I don't like Telltale.
Yeah, I mean it's an acquired taste, but they have a history of basically doing nothing fun. Like that's Telltale Games is a whole fucking conversation that I want to do at some point. But but the whole point is Game of Thrones.
They have a whole history of doing stuff that's not fun.
Yeah, Mortal Kombat. I've said this to you before. Has been on the decline since 9. That series needs some course correction. It has so many fucking problems. Aside with like mobile tier single player content, listening to fan feedback, and by fans I mean like pro players, which is just that's why the balancing is dog shit and why it's an awful dog shit idea. And what else was what I want to really know about this is what they're gonna do with multiverses. Like where does this fall into Warner Brothers' plan? Do you know fucking anything about multiverses?
I know it's a fighting game that it's like where does it pull from? I know it's some DC it's all Warner Brothers stuff, right?
It's basically everything that Warner Brothers can get their hands on. There's a bunch of Cartoon Network cartoons, there's Looney Tunes, there's older cartoons like Tom and Jerry.
They're trying to replicate Smash, obviously, but it's never going to happen. So
there's a lot of things wrong with multiverses. I actually think it's a decent amount of fun. It's not as fun as it could be, and not as fun as it used to be. There's a lot of misguided gameplay stuff, which I won't bore you on. But the whole thing about it is, it was like there was a closed beta like a year and a half, 2 years ago. My timeline's a little askew, but the whole point is that like they did a closed beta test, and then they launched the game, and then halfway through the launch of the game, they realized they weren't getting necessarily the best feedback, and they basically said, oh well, this is just the open beta. It's like, so like, remember when Warzone launched and it just had beta in like the corner of like the screen for a while? Like, imagine if Warzone did that, but then instead of like eventually removing it, they just said, okay, we're gonna close the beta, and then they closed it, right? That's what Multiverses went away for a year, Dan, and when the game came back, when the game came back for its official launch, so it launched for the third time, it like nobody was digging it. Like, it was slower than it was before, it was more grindy than it was before. In that 3-year difference, they only added 3 characters from the open beta, quote unquote, closing to the launch of the game. It's been a disaster. And I think when they reevaluated their gaming plans, Warner Brothers announced that they lost like $100 million on this. So I don't know what's going to go. They just started a season 4. So I don't know what I'm curious to see where Multiverses falls in their plans, or if they're going to pull the plug for good again. I can't see them
life
doing
support
that.
to me.
Yeah, I mean, it's possible. We'll see what happens, but yeah. So yeah, the industry is struggling quite a bit.
Yeah, I mean,
good.
all the games that I follow have been doing pretty good. I'm happy about that.
But it is crazy to watch powerhouses just basically like completely flounder with IPs that they hold. Like, it's crazy to me. Yeah.
It's almost like people at the top don't know what they're doing.
Yeah, that's something.
Oh my God! It just hit me. How did I forget about this? Yesterday was N7 day.
Oh yeah. Yesterday was N7 day.
Oh, that makes me think of so many bad things.
Yeah, I'm not looking forward to Mass Effect 5, Dan. Not after what I saw with Veilguard. God. Because this kind of turns around to, like, we were talking about the industry. Now, Daniel, I don't want to get political. Not on our podcast.
I was going to say
we don't bring politics here.
The picture that you sent me of the lead writer was like, made me cringe a little bit.
Yeah, but there was obviously a very big event in the United States very recently. I'm not going to say what it was.
Oh yeah, no one knows either.
But a thing happened in the United States, and apparently insiders are saying people in BioWare are reacting a very particular way.
Isn't it a Canadian company?
Isn't it?
I'm pretty positive
the entire
BioWare's
world
Canadian.
just runs on United States politics, apparently. But yeah, so BioWare is just like, they're like, the fact that like things get jammed up and your employees are having a struggle session internally, apparently. Like, I don't know, man. Old BioWare's gone. Like, just like, I can't, like, I don't want.
Old BioWare's been gone for a while. There were only a handful of people that worked on the original trilogy that worked on Andromeda. So,
yeah,
I mean, it's kind of been over for a while. And now, judging based off of what Veilguard looks like and how it's performing, it doesn't inspire much hope.
Yeah.
I'm not even cautiously optimistic for the new Mass Effect game. I am terrified of any announcement trailer or whatever they're going to hit me with. I love Mass Effect, as you know. But this is, God, I am so scared for what I'm going to see next from that IP.
But look on the bright side, Dan. Either we will be wrong and pleasantly surprised, or that will be what it takes to kill BioWare. And we just will never have to deal with it again, because I've been hearing rumors of how Veilguard performed.
Performed what?
How it performed, how Veilguard performed.
Oh, like, just one of the rumors. Oh, it's okay.
Yeah, and like the early estimate was about $500,000. Okay. But it comes with the caveat that leading up to the $500,000, like, they had multiple canceled pre-orders, like in the tens of thousands of lost sales, and they're apparently getting really high refund numbers.
Interesting.
So, yeah, and I look at it this way. I mean, it's a AAA game. It needed to sell millions. EA has killed studios for much less.
For way less, yeah.
Yeah, and it's
Let's see
like,
what it's sitting at right now. Still mostly positive on Steam.
Yeah, I mean, like I said last week, they're going to have their thumb on the scale for a bit. It's going to be a while before we get the real feedback on that, but rumors are saying, like, I'm already seeing, aside from these rumors, like, you know how it's, the corporate speak when, like, they can't come out and say to you, yeah, well, we didn't do that great, right? They can't say that's
Mhm.
just like that's not something you can do. But like when they talk positively about their recent endeavors, you can just tell there's no substance behind it. They're just it's like open like platitudes
Right.
essentially.
Yeah, it's just like
That's
its own
how
language.
that's how Veilguard is being spoken about. Like if they had like massive numbers, they would be bragging about it,
Yeah.
but they're not. And it's
Yeah.
been over a week at this point.
Game is
So
100 gigs.
yeah,
The fuck is it 100
I
gigs
told.
for?
What did we just talk about? Nothing is optimized. Nothing is compressed. It's all bullshit, Dan.
Yeah.
It's all bullshit.
God, I hope we're wrong about Mass Effect.
I don't think we're gonna be, buddy.
Uh,
Anyway, the whole point of saying is just like I don't think that first week is where they wanted it to be, honestly. And I think
Probably
we'll
not. I mean, it's
find
Dragon
out.
Age is a
Yeah.
huge name.
Yeah, it is. It's what do they call them? Tentpole
Yeah. Or
franchises,
flagships.
flagship, something like that. Yeah, it's a like. It's the only reason I sound a little confused about this is because you're dealing with people that just don't have like no standards, right? The same people that will tell you that understand that if it doesn't break 1 million in sales, like EA will likely kill them, are the same people that are telling me like 250,000 sales is like a groundbreaking success,
Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, fuck that. I'm not excited. Like nothing even happened on N7 day, and it's whatever, but I'm not eager for a new Mass Effect game by these people.
No, but you're gonna get one, so buckle up.
How unfucking fortunate.
Oh God, Bioware, how far you fallen?
Yeah.
How
It's a
sad.
shame. Another I mean, it's double casualty. It got before things were fucking crazy. They got slammed by EA, and now that things are crazy, they got slammed by everything that's crazy. Yeah.
Oh God.
Damn.
All right. Well, that's cool. Um, what else? What else happened this week? I think that was it for me.
I mean, there's no, I can't really think of much. I thought there was something in the back of my mind, but there's just been so much going on outside of the gaming space, and that same stuff kind of just sends a shock into the gaming space where like people just stop functioning for whatever reason. They confirmed that that Marcus and Dom are going to have their original voice actors in Gears of War E-Day, which I didn't
that's
even
cool.
realize that was I didn't even realize that was up for debate.
I like that.
Because both of them stuck around for 5, even though Marcus had a smaller role and Dom was fucking dead. But he still voiced all the stuff in the multiplayer. At least they got his voice. Oh, you know what I just
What?
remembered?
What?
We just got done talking about Mass Effect. Did you hear that it's getting a TV show?
Oh, that's right. It from Amazon, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. It depends on who's running it, honestly. I would love to see a Mass Effect show, but they got to choose right story, the right cast, obviously. There's
It'll
so much
be
involved with that.
It'll be written and produced by Daniel Casey, who did
Oh boy.
F9, the Fast Saga.
Oh no. Oh no. Oh no. God. Why does all my favorite properties turn to shit? What?
One of the it looks like there's a lot of Marvel alumni here. The only one of note being a guy that worked on Daredevil
It's
and the
still
Punisher.
okay. That's not. I mean, that was one of the better ones.
Yeah, but I
Um,
feel like that's like just gold they're trying to slip in so that you forget about the other shit I just told you about.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I don't know, man. It's not really like supposed to be bombastic action, kind of at points, at times. But the guy who did the fucking Fast series, are you serious?
Yeah,
It seems like a poor choice, but prove me wrong.
yeah. They're not gonna prove us wrong then. It's just gonna be another shitty fucking adaptation for video games.
I mean, once I get a date for that show, whenever it does end up coming out, I'm going to have to go back and replay the entire trilogy because I'm gonna need. I have to be up on my lore and everything. Mass Effect once the show releases. If
Mm.
it does, like, didn't weren't they talking about a Mass Effect show for fucking years now?
I mean, it
And
is it is one of those. There's like a handful of series where it's just like, oh, they're gonna do a movie, they're gonna do a TV show, and then it's just in various levels of development hell
yeah,
for years. Same thing
so
with BioShock, which I think is still getting a movie, but like it had its budget cut in half or something. Yeah.
I guess we'll see what happens with that. But I mean, that little tidbit of information does not give me any confidence.
Yeah.
So that's cool. Again,
Yeah. It's gonna suck.
optimistic as usual.
Yeah, I mean, my only optimism is like there are layoffs in the news, the gaming news industry. That's nice. Those people losing their grip on a lot of these things is going to help a lot in the
Mm,
long run because their presence in the industry is part of like a self-feeding thing. So the more of them go away, the easier, the less pressure there is on gaming proper.
right.
Yeah.
Well, I guess that's it then.
Yeah.
Well,
That could be it.
that was episode 29 then of the pregame. I almost said 28
Hmm.
of the pregame network podcast. So for the 5 people listening,
Oh my
appreciate you.
god.
I love getting you tilted every time I say that. That's the whole reason why I say
Uh,
it. Um, definitely again next week. Don't know about the specific day of the week, but I will obviously keep you posted.
all right.
So on that note, we will see everyone later.
Bye bye.
Bye.